Hello, Mr. Von Count. My name is Zoe, and I just want to get an understanding of what brought you here today. But before we begin, is there anything you would like to know about me, either professionally or as a person?
Have you worked with Muppets before?
Yes, I've worked with all sorts of Muppets.
Can you count how many?
Honestly, I've worked with so many that I really can't remember.
Have you worked with vampires?
You're the first, but I'm sure that we can do some excellent work together. I also meant to tell you that if you ever want to see my notes, you're welcome.
Can I see your notepad now?
I haven't taken any notes yet.
I just want to see the paper.
Okay.
1 sheet, 2 sheets, 3 sheets.
Mr. Von Count, I hate to interrupt, but we only have an hour, so I'd really like to hear what brings you here today.
Isn't it obvious? I have a counting problem.
So, Mr. Von Count, how does counting affect you?
It prevents me from doing things like shopping. I go to buy potatoes and to cook dinner, and all I end up doing is counting them.
Oh, so many nice potatoes.
Want to buy a pound or two?
And when I see potatoes, there's just one thing I must do. I must count. 1 potato, 2 potatoes, 3 potatoes, 4.
How else does the counting affect you?
It affects basic functions like sleeping. I was sleeping over at Bert's house, and he told me that if I counted sheep, I would fall asleep. But instead, I just stayed up all night counting sheep out loud and kept Bert awake too.
So it affects basic functions like sleeping and eating.
Yes, it also upsets my family.
You mean your vampire family?
No, my showbiz family.
Oh, right, your showbiz family. How does the counting impact your relationships with them?
For example, Ernie got upset with me yesterday. I wouldn't let him answer the phone because I needed to count the rings.
So Ernie was upset because you wouldn't let him answer the phone.
Yes, because it interfered with what he wanted to do. This interference, it is happening all the time.
Okay, I see. So the counting interferes with what the other Muppets want to do. Is that correct? How did this interference affect them?
Well, they get frustrated because the counting. I cannot stop it.
How do they behave with you when they're frustrated?
It makes them not want to spend time with me, and I feel so isolated in my castle.
Oh, I see. It makes them avoid you.
Yes, everyone is always leaving me alone.
So, let me summarize what I understand so far. You have a need to count everything, and sometimes this need affects basic functions, such as sleeping and eating. It also prevents family members from doing the things they want to do. This interference makes Muppets frustrated, and they avoid spending time with you, so you feel isolated and alone in your castle. But sometimes, when the counting doesn't interfere with what others want to do, it can be helpful and good. It can bring people together, right? So it's not so much the counting, but the interference that seems to bother the Muppets. Can you tell me about a time when the counting did not take over and interfere with something a Muppet was doing?
Let me think. Oh, yes.
Count!
Eat!
No, count!
Eat!
Count! Count!
Eat!
Wait!
What?
Why don't we cooperate?
You mean?
Yes, I will count the cookies, and you will eat them.
In this instance, you created space for Cookie Monster between your counting and didn't feel the need to stop him from eating. How did you do that?
I finally saw that I could count and let him eat at the same time.
Okay, so you saw that the two goals were not mutually exclusive. What does it say about you as a Muppet that you were able to not let your counting interfere with Cookie Monster's goal?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it shows that I'm a collaborator.
Yes, you are definitely collaborating and not letting your needs win. Tell me, how do you think our society views vampires?
They see us as blood-sucking, sun-hating parasites.
Where do you think these images come from?
Well, Buffy gave us a really bad name. Also Dracula. But some vampires I know also act like that.
Right, from pop culture and the social norms of the vampire community. But from what you've told me, you love sunbathing and you don't drink blood. You certainly don't fit those negative stereotypes featured in pop culture. And you seem to have resisted some of the habits that your fellow vampires have taken on.
Yes, there are different ways to be a vampire. I chose the parts I like not having my reflection show up in the mirror. Some of us also like to count.
So counting is a positive way to affirm your identity as a vampire.
Yes, I love counting, and it might annoy people, but it never killed anyone as far as I know.
What other positive things does counting achieve for you?
I've taught millions of children their numbers. I even taught Liam Neeson to count with feeling.
Wow, that's impressive. So you're redefining what it means to be a vampire. You're showing people that vampires can be great teachers and that you don't always have to murder people to have a good time.
Yes!